Morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. This is Boyan Petresky coming at you live on this September 13th, 2022. Beautiful Tuesday morning for me. Welcome everybody that's joining me live. Those of you watching this recorded, thank you for spending the time. This is the Futures Trading Live session. Of course, the disclaimer is there for your use and your understanding that this is for educational and instructional purposes only. We're going to be getting started in just a few seconds now. And of course, the QR code is here for your use as well, which you cannot see. I just realized because of my camera, but you were able to see it before. Before already, proceeding forward, I just want to kind of quickly highlight what's going on right here. As you see on the bottom, there's a rolling ticker. We do have our trading book release, which is Mystery to Mastery series. This is for the FOREX market. Definitely check it out and let us know what you think. And we'll be getting started in just a second now. So let's go ahead and get started. So this is what our current radar screen looks like. This is the futures radar screen. We're going to be getting into it right now. First things first, what is it that we're looking for? Well, the first things is right here is the fact that we are looking for a confirmed climate. So this is our radar screen. For those of you joining us, for the first time, you do have all of this information available to you. You just have to send us a quick email and we'll be able to send you everything. But the first things that we are looking for whenever we're looking at anything is we need a confirmation in the climate. We need to know where this current market is at in order to decide whether or not it's worth taking a look, right? So we need a confirmation to the climate. Something that we see here on natural gas on the 60-minute is not what we want to see, which is a gray colored box here, which means that there is no confirmation in the climate. If we have a color, meaning a red, or if we have a blue colored box here, that means our climate is confirmed and we should be looking at that particular instrument. Now, the next thing that we do need to see is if that particular, if that particular climate is in fact confirmed, is it nearby to where we need to be to get into that particular market? So we need to have it say something like this: sensible, right? That's the word that we're after, or near sensible, like the one we see here. So that's what we need to see on this radar screen in order to start looking at this market and analyzing it and basically utilizing it for our entry. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look here. So right now, the only thing that's near sensible short is LH here, which is lean hogs on a 240-minute. Just for reference and because the market is going to open in half an hour, I do like to spend a little bit more time on the equities as opposed to something that's a little bit more slow moving like lean hogs. But given that I don't see anything that's really too nearby, and the reason why I know that is because I'm looking at the ATR spread here. And as you see, the lowest one that we have here is 2 ATRs away. Crude oil is 1 ATR away, so we could look at crude oil. But everything else seems to be far from entry right now. So I'm going to open lean hogs and I'm going to open crude oil. So let's go ahead and open up crude oil on the 15 and I'm going to open lean hogs on the 240. If I can find it. HG, looks like I may not even have it on here. That's how you know how much I've traded it. Okay. Let's go ahead and open it up. And see what we got in front of us. I'm just going to go ahead and take down this ticker. And I'm just gonna show this one right here. So if you definitely want to take a look at this. You do not want to be caught using the wrong contract. You don't want to be using the wrong month. What I typically do to make sure I'm on the right one is I like to go and I have this bookmarked in my morning tabs. Um, I like looking at the barchart.com, and I'm gonna just pop it over here really quick. So as you see here, you just go to barchart.com and then you go to futures, and which it'll give you this full list here. So given the fact that we were looking at crude oil, you just go to energies and you see where the most volume is. As of right now, we see that there's 95,000 contracts traded on the October contract. All right, so that's CLV 22. And then now let's also take a look at lean hogs. What's the also HEV 22? All right, so looks like that's where it's actually very neck and neck, no pun intended, on the December and the November contracts. So I wonder if this is gonna roll over tomorrow or something. Because look at that, volume 25 on October, 21 in December. Interesting to see. Nonetheless. All right. So again, barchart.com, you go to futures, and you don't have to go to, you can definitely check out any of the other market pulses here, but most active futures will give you the information that you're looking for when it comes to the front month contract, or the contract that has the most volume, whichever way you want to call it. So let's go ahead and do CLV 22. And now that we're going to change this, right, because I don't have it open here, LHV 22. And now something else that we got to take a quick look at is what are our time frames for and what the equivalencies are, which is this chart right here. As we see here, right, we're currently looking at the 240-minute on lean hogs, right? So that means we got to look at this graph here. So we're looking at all of these right there. So we need 610 shares, 377 ticks on the 21-minute edge time frame. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So this is okay on the 240. We need this on the 21-minute. Now this we need to change to 610 shares. And we have 377 right there. All right, so that's where we are right now with these two instruments. So let's go ahead and now that we have this, I'm just gonna go ahead and save this workspace real quick because I don't have it saved here. So we're gonna call it LH. It says it's already here. Okay, I just didn't see it then. All right, so this is the interesting thing. So is this, yeah, it's October. Near sensible short. Sorry, let me just double check this real quick, but it's on the October contract, so I'm not quite sure why it's not properly updating here. $91.95. Yeah, it's just not open yet, I guess. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at crude oil then before we get lost in there. I just want to quickly explain what it is that we'll be looking for. Right now, what we are looking for, especially with crude oil here in front of us, um, we need to make sure we have a confirmed climate, which in this scenario we do have that. So right, that's the first thing here is we have a confirmed climate. Now we want to be able to combine some elements that most people will have on their charts, which is we call it a common indicator or on a common time frame. So that in this scenario is a 9 exponential moving average. So that's a 9 EMA. As we see, the value of the 9 EMA is 88.17, right? 88.17. Current price is at 87.34. Now, if this were to obviously, right, so 88.17 is, let's make it purple here, is around, given that where it is, it's around here somewhere, right? This is the moving average. Price is over here, right? If this were to, spike up, obviously it's going to take the moving average with it. So as of right now, the scenario would dictate that they would meet somewhere up here around the 88, 40 area. So in this case, and at this point of time, we do have a UFO. As a matter of fact, multiple overlapping UFOs is what we have in that area. We have 8840 is here. 8840 is within this UFO as well. So we do have multiple UFOs that overlap with that price point. So as of right now, it would make sense for us to put in a trade at here at 88.22, for example, or if we want to be a little bit more aggressive, 87.84. I'm going to choose not to be so aggressive, so I'm going to go ahead and put in my order at 88.22, right there. Okay, I'm going to move my stop to 88.48. All right. So 88.48 minus 88.22. That's 26 ticks that we have a risk for. It's not what I meant to do. So minus 88.22. So 87.96 would be our T1. So this one, 87.96. All right. Now for our final target, which is what we should have determined ahead of time already, on this common time frame, it is the first opposing UFO, right? So since we're going short, right, our first opposing UFO would be the first green UFO, which is down here. First green UFO is at 86.38. So let's go ahead and get this edited here. 86.38. All right. So as of this time, as of right now, this is the trade that makes sense. As you see, we have multiple UFOs where we're aligning with. Again, though, as time passes, and as a matter of fact, it just did right now. As you see, the moving average is now at 87.93. That should still align with our 88.22 here. It might not, we have to track it a little bit better, mainly because as the market moves, the moving average moves and new UFOs develop. So it's very fluid like that we need to, we need to pay attention to it. So as of right now, I'm going to go ahead and take a screenshot of this and save it. 220913. This is the CL 50-minute setup. Okay. I'm going to save that. And we're going to, wait for it to see how it develops. In the meantime, this is not open yet. And it looks like everything in between is still kind of moving wide and far away. As we see now, the ES on the 50-minute is already a hopeful short. NQ, same thing. And everything else is just very far away. The CL on 60-minute is also a near sensible short. So let's go ahead and open that as well. Because if we have a setup on the 50-minute and on the 60-minute, well, that's just an even more interesting setup to see. So let's go ahead and get this through here. See. All right. And there it is. See, the 60-minute is almost a similar picture here that we're seeing. We see that the moving average is at 88.05, first confirmed down climate that we're seeing here. And not just that, but even on the 60-minute, we see that we have a UFO there, which is just, additional information that we could use. On top of that, if just kind of increasing the size on this 60-minute time frame, if we get the UFO here, we see that we are having it start at 86.95. 86.95. This UFO starts. So did we touch this at 86.95? And it looks like we have. Yep, so it looks like we did touch this UFO before entering our trade. Therefore, what we can do now is, since this was already tested, before our entry, we're going to go ahead and negate this. And our final target is actually going to be the next opposing UFO, which is the one down here. That one, when we click on it, we see that that one starts at 85.71. So that will be our T2. It'll be 85.71. All right. Now, given the fact that, we already have a trade set up on the 50-minute, and that was a little bit more, let's call it conservative. It's a little bit higher. I'm willing to take a little bit more risk and take this trade on the 60-minute than the one on the 15. So, we can certainly keep the screenshot of the other one, but I'm definitely more interested in taking this one here, mainly because the larger time frame is always going to be sort of a better option, I would say, than okay. So the beginning price is at 87.81. The moving average is at 88.12. So what we can do is, instead of getting in there at 87.81, which is far, actually in this scenario, let's go ahead and get into it at 87.81. So 87.81. Now our stop needs to be all the way up again at 88.48, which again, this is a much more riskier trade because we are working with a larger time frame. So 88.48 minus 87.81, we're looking at 67 ticks per trade, which is $610 per trade. So this will be a little over 1,300 with two contracts. Of course, if that's too much, you can certainly take it on the Qs or the QM, which is half of what this is. Okay, 67 minus the 87.81, 87.14 is our first target. 87.14, that's T1. And our T2 is the UFO that we said down below here, which was at 85.71. All right. So that's what that would look like right there. All right, let's go ahead and take a quick screenshot of this as well. So 2022 09/13 CL 60-minute setup. And now that we have a screenshot of both, we do know that we have a setup on both ends. Given that we're getting in at 87.81 here, though, it's most likely going to be, um, we're going to get filled on one before the other. So, all right. If there are any questions so far, please, feel free to type them in the chat. If not, I'm going to go ahead and continue with the session. And look, that looks very interesting because there's, 1, 2, 3, 4 UFOs on the 15-minute climate that we see. And of course, there's one on the 60-minute setup. All right, just give me 1 second. I'll be right back with you guys. I am back. Never a bad idea to take a small, short break before the market opens. Kind of get recentered. And so far, the crude oil trade is not triggered just yet. We are closing in, though. And yeah, a bit of a slow morning, but again, we do have those every once in a while. It's not a bad thing per se. Um, which, that has to go hand in hand with sort of, managing expectations, right? If you expect that, the market is just waiting for you to sit down to be able to to give you the trades. That's not going to be the case. I'm sorry to break it to you. It would be unfair to yourself to expect such things, mainly because the market will do what it was going to do, regardless of the fact that if you were there or not. Ultimately, though, it is very important to to manage those expectations. That if you are on and if you're trading, it doesn't mean that trades will just magically present themselves to you. You just have to be ready when those trades present themselves in front of you. Just because you're in front of the computer, in front of a laptop or tablet, whatever your preferred platform for trading or executing is, it does not necessarily mean that that trade will be right then and there for you. So that goes without saying that psychology and managing those expectations is extremely important, right? Because if you don't, you might get upset, you might get frustrated, then you might start breaking your plan and trying to chase price, and it's just never a pretty sight when that happens. Let me just double check something here. I want to make sure that everything's running okay, because I'm actually not seeing one of the chats excuse me, show up on my plan here. All right, the regular session has started. Market is open. We are deep in the red across the board here. Not a whole lot to be seen other than the fact that everything is in a hopeful short here. And everything on this side is just massive ATRs away, so it's not even worth opening. Okay, looks like we're in. Crude oil, as you saw, it just flashed. So here we go. We got our fill. Something that I like doing as soon as I get a fill, just to kind of keep things rolling the proper way, is mark up when I'm getting in or out based on the time in trade. So we got 1, 2, 3 that we give it for. In this purple rectangle that you see here, we need to have our trade. All right, let's just take this real quick. And this is the 60-minute entry. In this period that we see in front of us here, we need to have a determination of our trade, meaning we need to either be stopped out or we need to have our T1. If that does not happen, however, we need to close the trade at market as soon as that rectangle movement is completed. Meaning, if we don't see a stop out or an entry, a T1 or a stop out within, by 10 over here, which is, this is, I believe, Central Time. So it's confusing because I could never adjust it to the proper way. So essentially in about half an hour in 3 times 8-minute increments from our entry, we're going to be closing our trade at market. All right. As of right now, though, obviously we're seeing a pretty steep push against our current entry. This may end up stopping out fairly quickly. We're going to see. Of course, all the setups, the 60-minute, the 15-minute, they were all giving us an indication that we should be going short, and that's exactly what we did. Obviously, right now, it's gone substantially against us from our entry point down here, 87.14, which was the more aggressive approach. Interestingly enough, our 15-minute time frame the entry was at 88.22. So that just hit, and it would be in profit right now. But again, I said I like the higher time frame more, so that's why I execute on that one. I'm trying to show you exactly how I would think about this, but again, our 15-minute time frame was 88.22. T1 was 87.96 and 88.48, which I think, did it hit already at T1 or not yet? I don't think so. So nonetheless, it would have been a smaller stop out if we took it. The high was 34, low was 22. What about this one? Not the ellipse. The high was, okay, so this one, the low was 88. So there's actually a good chance that this, filled us at 88.28, and if it came down to 87.96, that would have given us a T1. So this would have been a break-even trade if we took the more conservative trade. So, right now though, we are sticking with the 60-minute. This may easily just stop out in the next few minutes. If it gives us another chance, I will definitely take this again. Because as you see, it's currently in another UFO, a 60-minute UFO right now that it's pushing through. And it's right at that moving average right now. It just touched on it. It's right above it right now. So this could be a really good turning point. I just wish I had maybe another UFO here, and I could do a dollar cost average. But we don't have anything right now. So we're going to see how things play out. And then just wait for it. In the meantime, our lean hogs opened up. However, the climate is unconfirmed, as you see. So we're going to go ahead and close this workspace. And as far as anything else, though, okay, see, this is very interesting. Lean hogs is giving us a sensible short in the negative ATR, meaning it's trading above the moving average. But ultimately, on the chart, it was not a confirmed climate. So nothing to do right now except for a look at crude oil, which looks like it will be stopping out. Could prove us wrong. Could collapse the same way it rocketed up, right? But let's see what's going on. In the meantime, I was trying to see if I have my other chat here to open it up, because I don't think I didn't have my other chat open here. That's what it was. Yes. Okay. Looks like we're good now. All right. Okay. Let's see what happens. Still got plenty of room in this trade. This could easily just collapse down. It's would not be unheard of. Crude oil is known for quick moves. Other than that, not much else to be said. We don't have an excuse to close this before a full stop, because it's still a confirmed down climate across the board here, both the 60 and the 15-minute. So it would not surprise me to see a substantial breakdown, and then maybe a determination whether or not this will change to the upside, or if it's going to keep pushing lower. All right. Okay, and there we are. Bit of a push down. How's the 15-minute looking? Looking pretty good. So there are definitely some unfilled orders in this area. As you see, price kind of halted right before our stop. And again, I'm showcasing the different types and approaches here. The low is 88.10 right now. And push it lower. There we go. Let's go crude oil. The fact that we still have a confirmed down climate and opposing UFOs on the shorter time frame is actually not bad at all. Because to me, the way I look at these is I just look at them as magnets, as prices attracted to these locations right now. So I would like price to test these and potentially break them, so that we could see our trade setup work out. Um, you know, it could also just test them, right? It could test them and then go higher, or it could test deeper, and maybe kind of dilly dally and go higher. It could certainly just test it, kind of, and then just let it head lower and lower. Right now, though, price is almost back at our entry. We have a new UFO here, which is good. It's right at our stop, so there's essentially, I would say, almost right where we were, where our entry was, except that before it was a wider UFO. But it's always good news that we do see it. As we see, we're almost down to break even on this trade. If this doesn't, if the price doesn't break these UFOs, then it may test this red one again. Again, it could just be kind of stuck in a bit of a sideways circle. Wouldn't surprise me. But we're about to see some gold print there on our chart, which is nice. Um, you know, while in the beginning of the trade you might have been uncomfortable, or maybe you got scared and you closed it out. Right now you might be again in a different vicious cycle, saying, oh, I missed out on closing this at break even, or closing this at small profit, whatever the case may be. Multiple UFOs developing here. One is about to get touched and tested here around this 88 area. What we could do is, at this point, because we are quite far away from the target here, we could also take this for dollar cost average short and reset this trade. I'm not going to do that because that's a bit of a more advanced technique. I'd like to stay with the original plan, which is, we have our trade set up. We have the time that we're expecting this to work for. Do we want to see a bullish candle like this in our short setup? Absolutely not. But again, price needs to do what price needs to do, and right now it's testing again against the red UFO that developed right there, of course, and also the couple that were here. Obviously, two got filled, one is still there. The minute time frame here, the 2 minute time frame, is still holding it. And the reason why I'm focusing so much on this trade is not because I'm really focused on it. It's because there's really not much else to look at. We could look at gold right now, as you see on the 50-minute time frame. So let's go ahead and open it. It's within one ATR. So gold is on the 15 here. All right. Gold is on the December contract, so GCZ 22. All right. Give me just 1 second, folks. All right, folks, we're back. So, all right, let's take a look at gold. It's on the fourth 15-minute time frame down out of typically six. As we see, it's 5.2, so typically six. So let's see if we can maybe see a trade setup on gold. Right now, current price is at 1716, moving average at 17.2.22. Oh, I'm sorry, we're not seeing the full picture here. Okay, so all right, it depends on how price moves. We may have a setup here, up here on this 24-25 area, right? Nothing in between here. This one may or may not work. I think it may miss this one as price moves up. So the closest one that we would have is here. So the setup would be at 23.7. So let's take a look at this UFO. But the question is, how far is price from the nearest UFO? And it looks like it's at 1712. Okay, so we got some room to go down. So our final target, our T2 on this trade, would be 1712.6. So this would be T2. 12.6. Let's remember that, 12.6. All right, so let's say we anticipate price to get in for us here at 23.7. So 23.7. That's the short, 23.7. Okay, our stop will be right above that. So 25.5. So 25.6, right? A tick above. Our T1 is 1-to-1, so 25.6 minus 23.7. We're looking at 1.9. Okay, so minus 23.7, we're looking at 21.8. 21.8. And of course, our final target we said was going to be 12.6. 12.6 right there. All right, so that's what our setup on gold looks like. I'm going to go ahead and take a screenshot of this for now. That we do have a setup that we saw. So GC 50-minute setup. All right, crude oil testing lower again. So this should be interesting to see. We only have, well, before the end of this session, really, to see this through. So this should be interesting, though. If we see a collapse now, we may easily see this go below these lows, which would be, great because we're going to get our T1. If it doesn't, if it pushes up, though, because this is obviously it's a very bullish looking candle. Now we're not really looking at candle formations. We're just kind of analyzing because, again, not a lot of people are looking at the 8-minute time frame when it comes to this. So therefore, candle formations and candle patterns that's why they're not so important when we're looking at the plan that we are analyzing. So we're going to see. All right. Well, that's definitely not the push that we wanted to see. We wanted to see this to the to the downside. Again, this finally may be resolving itself, and it is what it is. All right. Let's just see here. So this is pushing upwards pretty rapidly right now. So we may need to adjust our entry to be going in here at this 20.4 UFO. So if that's the case, we're going to need to adjust it a little bit because, it really depends on how fast price gets there that our UFOs match up with the moving average. crude oil is really just teasing. You could. I mean, if you're in this trade, then and you're having a roller coaster of emotions, then it's understandable. I myself see this as just a massive fight at that location that we got in. So it's very, very, very interesting to see because you could tell, right? Price, it just keeps moving up to there and it keeps getting rejected, keeps getting rejected. Um, it's not uncommon to see, is what I'm trying to say. So that's how you know that what you have in front of you does work. A lot of times you're just going to end up getting run over. Maybe not a lot of times, but sometimes you're going to get run over, and it's going to be almost as if your analysis wasn't there. But ultimately, a lot of the times you should see a reaction to the locations that you're taking. Okay, so 21. So I think I am going to adjust my entry here. The problem is that this crude oil trade is just not resolved yet. So going in lower on this is also basically additional risk. Okay, I'm not sure where this was. I got to reload the data. And just this goes without saying. I mean, we've sent several messages and emails, folks, but at the end of September, the TradeStation is discontinuing its app store, and therefore you will not have access to the auto UFOs. So be sure to be part of the discussion so you're not caught unprepared when it comes to getting yourself situated with an alternative solution. All right, so 23. So this has to just go one tick up. That's good. Oh, actually, it has to go 2. And then this one has to go 2. However, our final entry here, 12.6, does not change. So we have adjusted our setup now. Because it's more closely matching the current market situation. All right. Looks like it shied away right as we were about to get filled. All right. So crude oil has this last 8 minutes here, which is right at the end of our session. So as soon as, right before I close the session, essentially I'm going to be closing this trade at market. Okay, so yeah, a bit of a slow session today, not gonna lie, but sometimes there are slow days. It goes without saying, even though we're trading short-term trades, we're trading lower time frames. Sometimes there's just the market does what it wants to do, and nothing we can do or wish can change it. All right, so looks like another big push to the top side. Will this be the one that hits the stop? It's definitely looking like it has the power behind it, let's call it. Seems to be inching that way. Again, it was definitely a fun ride. Whether this will be the one that hits the stop or not, we're yet to see. Or is this the final exhaustion before the collapse? That could also be the case. As we see, it's still not quite there. It is a phenomenal thing to behold. Gold did not quite make it to our entry, but it's already moving down towards T1 if it didn't already touch it, which is, again, interesting to see. It is at the end of a climate, though, so it's not by any means my favorite there. This this setup was much more along my preferences, even though we've seen nothing but blue bars on the matrix, on the order bar. But you know, it's just one of those things. We gotta keep our eyes peeled, see what this ends up being. Could this exhaust right now and just collapse down? Absolutely. It's attempted to push for the past half an hour, and it has not succeeded. So it's one of those things where we need to be aware of that. It's one of those situations where the setup looked pretty much perfect, and here we are though, waiting patiently. Okay, another push. A few more minutes before we have to close this according to our plan. Gold already went through T1. All right, there it was. Let's go ahead and take a screenshot of that. So 2022 0913 CL 60-minute exit, stop loss, and it was 13 40, I believe. All right, so that's that for today. Gold looks like it missed our entry, already went past T1. Crude oil ended up stopping out, came to a little bit in the green here, ultimately ended up just shooting from there. Not much else to be said. Let me just kind of fix these up so I can have them ready for next session. Okay. There we go. All right, folks. That's that for today. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will catch you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.